Well, it's Friday, and you all know what that means. So, we have AEW Rampage that features the main event of the semifinals of the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. Who will walk out to face Ruby Soho in the finals? Will it be Willow Nightingale or Athena? We'll just find out. And of course, we are going to see who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up. Let's find out. But first things first, I can safely say, finally, I catched up with the Stardom shows that we've recently been seeing. The first one is on the 8th of July in Fuji. Not much of a big deal, but there were some good, interesting matches that took place. However, on the 9th of July, they went back to Tokyo for Korakuen Hall, where we continue with part 2 of the generational struggle. So, who will walk out of the two generational struggle area? So we'll find out during the entire time. But we also got some news updates that tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's being booked, what matches are set, any wrestlers been injured, any wrestlers have been assigned to any promotion, the whole enchilada. So let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, if you are new to the channel, please click subscribe and enjoy the rest of the entire episode. If you like this episode, please give us a like. So let's get started with our very first review. Our very first one is from Stardom on the July 8th show in Fuji. Now, not much of a bigger deal, but some good matches that do tell the whole story on this one. Our very first one features rookie Hanako taking on the Black Peach Momo Watanabe. Now, those who have been Stardom fans probably would have assumed that this match was definitely going to go fall to Momo Watanabe. Well, it did, because Momo is a very highly skilled wrestler. Not to mention, she can give deadly strikes to everybody. But however, she was able to apply the Dojimu chicken wing face lock onto Hanako and force her to tap out. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We got Aya Sakura teaming up with the Supernova Miyu Amasaki to take on Star members Sayaida and Koguma. Now, X factor of this type of match, much like Hanako, Aya Sakura is a rookie as well, so that kind of plays it out in its own way. But however, it was of course Koguma with the diving body press onto Aya Sakura to pick up the win. Next up, we have a very interesting six-woman tag team match. We have Oedo Tai, consistent of Ruka, Starlight Kid, and Natsuko Tora taking on God's Eye, with the newest member, Saki Kashima, teaming with Ami Sodi and Mirai. Now, if you guys haven't remembered what happened, this took place at the Sunshine event. As you know, Saki Kashima was the last person to be eliminated in the steel cage match with Queen's Quest. However, Saki Kashima was more of the weakest link of the group, and all this and that. However, I did talk about this on a DWZ discussion about who will Steiner, and I'd say this to those who actually said this and left two comments saying that it could be God's Eye. So I have to say I give props to those people. But the obvious question does tell how. But the obvious thing is, it did help. It did reveal during the Midsummer Champions, where Saki wanted to join Sudi, try to get protection out of her. But However, how would she do with, of course, with God's Eye, since she is the newest member? I have to say she did pretty well. I think she is trying to learn more, be relying on God's Eye more. But it was, of course, Mirai with the Mirror shock onto Ruka to pick up the win. But we still got a long way to go for her to make some new improvements on herself in God's Eye. But we'll see in the future. Till then. Now, our next match, we have Queen's Quest, Lady C, Saya Kamitani, and Azumi taking on our current artist champions, DDM, uh, Tekla, Masakurai, and Julia. Now, you probably can say that this match is going to be a little more interesting, but however, Zumi has one thing in her mind, and that is Julia, because she has something that she wants. Now, if you guys remember recently during New Japan Strong Independence Day, Julia is the newly crowned New Japan Strong Women's Champion. So she definitely would love to have that belt. But of course, there's going to be a bit, we don't know when that could place. I mean, that match could take place here in the States if that is necessary, because it does fall under the jurisdiction of New Japan. But however, it was Mai Sakurai who picked up the win with the diving elbow drop on Lady C, and once again with her usual post-match ritual, as she calls it. But I'm not going to go into the details on that. Next up, we have Stars, consistent of Hanan, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani taking on Cosmic Angels, Yuna Mizumori, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano. So this was also another interesting development. Now keep in mind, Yuna is still like an apprentice. She is very close in reaching her weight limit, her weight goal that she needs to do in order to become a full-time member of Cosmic Angels. But nonetheless, they did pretty good in this match. But it was Natsupoi with the Ferial Gift onto Hanan to pick up the win. Now our main event is a very interesting six-woman tag team match. We have Mei Sita, Zuzu Suzuki, and Maika taking on Club Venus, Mariah May, Waka Tsukiyama, and Mina Shirakawa. Now, you probably can guess that there's certain wrestlers that they would definitely like to get their hands on. However, I think this was a very interesting match, because I know that the Maika and Suzuki are trying to build up momentum for their following match the next day. But, however, it was Mei Sita who picked up the win when she applied the deformed Dragon Sleeper on Waka. So that sets it in. But, however, how will Zuzu and Maika do in the next match? We'll find out. But for now, we just end this right here and move on to the next one in Korakuen Hall on July 9th. Okay, we continue with more with Stardom. They go back to Tokyo to participate in Korakuen Hall. And I mentioned this before, we have the main event, part 2 of the generational struggle. Now, those who don't understand what that means, let me explain it to you. Certain wrestlers of a certain generation are struggling to try to go to the top. This began when, of course, with Suzuki and Maika teamed up, and of course, they dragged along Saya Kamitani and Utami Ayashida involved in this one. And of course, the ones who are above them, much like Julia, Suri, Mayu Iwatani, and Tam Nakano, are part of that other generation that are above them. So that kind of became a very interesting storyline. But there were a bit of not controversy, more of people like, wait a minute, there are others like Azuki, Starlight Kid, who should have been part of the generational struggle. Well, that didn't happen for some odd reason, but I just cannot speak on why. So that's what it becomes. But but the first match they had, it ended in a time limit draw. However, Utami Ashida felt that she did not want to be part of something, but the one who stepped up was none other than our current Wonder of Stardom champion, Mirai. But that particular match is at the main event, so we'll get to that. Now let's go with our very first match of that particular day. We have a three-way match, Ram Kaicho versus Fukigen Death versus Hina. Now I had an interesting feeling about this one, because Rhyme Kaicho and um, Fukigen Death are very interesting characters. They did kind of got into each other's faces, but not like in a way where they're just stared at each other. But obviously, I didn't know how this was going to be. But the X Factor, I figured it was going to be Hina to take the fall on this one. But it was Fukigen Death with the O'Connor role that picked up the win. Next up, we have Mei Sita taking on Momo Kogo. Now, this is a very interesting high speed match. Keep in mind, these two ladies have challenged for the high speed title before and both lost, but to the same person. However, it was Mei Sita who walked out with the victory when she applied the deformed dragon sleeper. Now, it's not the type of dragon sleeper you would know. Uh, the kind of we know is when they're standing up and they put their heads like that and they lock in their arms in the back. However, my May Sita's version is where she applies like a somewhat version of the of the arrow and just pulls down on her like this. So that's a little interesting move. But so that gave May Sita the win. I hope you guys can understand a little bit about that. Next up, we have Oedo Tai, consistent of Ruka, Momo Watanabe, and Natsuko Tora, taking on Queen's Quest, Miyu Imasaki, Lady C, and Azumi. Now, I had a feeling that this match was definitely going to go with Oedo Tai due to the fact that both Lady C and Mayu Iwasaki have a little bit of the less wrestling experience in the whole matter. But however, it was Ruka with the freezer bomb onto Amasaki that picked up the win. Next up, we have who is next? Yeah, a very interesting showdown within the star members. We have Wingori consistent of Hanan and Saida taking on FWC, Koguma, and Azuki. Now, keep in mind, these two teams are part of this of Stars. I thought this was a very interesting match because they're both in the same unit, but these two teams are different from each other. I mean, Hanan and Saya have always been a very steady tag team, but they haven't picked up one of those like tag team magic like FWC. But however, in this particular match, it was Koguma who picked up the win with the diving body press onto Ida to give them the win. So, nonetheless, the match ended with respect amongst the star members, knowing that this was a very interesting competition for them. But we'll see what happens in the future down the line for them. I'm going to presume these two teams will be in part of Goddess Tag League later on after the 5-star Grand Prix. Next up, we have Hanako teaming up with the veteran Nanane Takahashi, taking on DDM's Tekla and Mai Sakurai. Now, keep in mind, recently Mai Sakurai was in a match against Nanane Takahashi, and she thought that she was going to beat her. However, that wasn't the case. But in this case, I figured that DDM was going to win this match due to Hanako being the less experienced member and the rookie of Stardom involved in this match. It was Mai Sakurai with once again the diving elbow drop onto her to pick up the win, and once again with her usual thing. But however, this time she said she has nothing to say to the people of Korakuen Hall, that they don't deserve to hear it because she's busy with the upcoming Hokkaido tour that will be coming up. And they say if they want to see her speak, they better travel there. I think that's kind of cold out of her, but sooner or later someone's going to shut her up. Next up, we have a very interesting tag team match. We have Oedo Tai consistent of Rina and Starlight Kid taking on God's Eye with the newest member Kashima and Amisori. Now, there has been a very interesting thing about this match, what I like. Now, when Saki Kashima was expelled from Oedo Tai, Rita was the only one who wasn't attacking Kashima. Natsuko Tora was not happy with her. Like, why did not join, grabbing her by the hair? She was having feelings. Now, I wasn't too sure why. But, however, I figured that this match had a very interesting farewell story because Kashima is out. But the only thing that was very interesting is how it was Kashima who picked up the win with the My Emblem onto Rina. In the post match, she said that she will love nothing more to see Rina succeed, you know, with Oedo Tai. You know, it's more like to her saying goodbye to her. But she said that hopefully one day they could team up once again. And of course they embrace each other, and of course Rina go back to her usual way with calling Saki Kashima's old in her an old hag. But that's how it is. But however, there was another situation that Kashima has to deal with. Now, if you guys remember recently, two wrestlers, in the other hand, issued challenge for the high speed title. The first one was Mei Sita and of course Tekla. But however, she's been ducking both of them. Mei Sita tried again, but out of nowhere, Koguma, I don't know exactly what she did. Somehow she made it a reasonable offer to Kashima, saying, "Look, I can play hide and seek. I can play rock paper scissors, you know, that sort of thing." So it was like Kashima was listening what she had to say, but I'm not running. Who said anything about running? No tag. So basically, it was like making an offer that Kashima couldn't refuse. So that was kind of interesting. So she took Koguma's offer, but Meseta is not happy. I know that she'll be determined to challenge for that belt. Trust me. So we'll see what that day will be like. Now our next match, we have Cosmic Angels, Yuna Mizumori, Sayori no and Natsupoi taking on Club Venus, Mariah May, Waka Tsukiyama, and Mina Shirakawa. Now, this is the first time that Yuna Mizumori teams up with Sayori no. I know the last few times they were unable to, they haven't teamed up, but now we're seeing this. But once again, the showdown between Club Venus with former members of Cosmic Angels involved. But, of course, many people would have presumed that this match would have been a lot more interesting. However, it was Natsupoi with the Ferial gift onto Waka to pick up the win. But the post-match was very interesting. Sadio Noe asked Natsupoi that her birthday is coming up. What does she want for her birthday present? So Natsupoi say, "I want a belt." And there's one belt that they have in mind, and that is, of course, the Goddesses of Stardom, the tag titles. However, Mina Shirakawa was questioning about them. Are they okay? Are they friends? However, because of their long, steady rivalry, Sorinoe said that they're connected because of the strap match that they had. But one thing that was very interesting is, of course, Mina did accept their offer, but she said a certain word that only one person says, and that is, "I'll assess you." We all know who says that particular word. Now, I don't know if she heard it or not. We're talking about Unagi. Now, I will talk a little bit about that on the Unagi Sayaka watch, see what she said. But later she changed her story saying, "I will judge you," instead. But the obvious thing does tell, will Club Venus drop the belts? I don't know. I mean, it's still too early to tell. But at the moment, we'll just say that they accepted the challenge, and we'll see what happens then. That match will take place next month. Now, our main event is the Generational Struggle Part 2. Team number 1, Zuzu Suzuki, Maika, Saya Kamitani, and Mirai, taking on Suri, Julia, Mayu Iwatani, and Tam Nakano. Now, each of this match has a very interesting story of each of the individuals. Now, Kamitani has one thing in mind, and that is the red belt that Tam Nakano has. Because, as you know, Saya Kamitani was the one who dethroned Tam Nakano out of the white belt back in late 2021. And, of course, that's what happened. But, however, that doesn't end there. We know there'll be some interesting developments. I know Zuzu has the red belt in mind. So does Maika. So she knows that she has that covered. But, however, this was an elimination match. I cannot tell exactly the order, but I do know that Kamitani and Tam Nakano were eliminated out. However, I can give you to the end. It kind of ended in a DDM showdown between Maika and Julia, but it was Julia that picked up the win with the Ganasuke clutch, giving them the win. But however, in the post-match, Zuzu was a little bit displeased with Maika, thought that she could win this match, but it did not But however, there's moments in the post match. I mean, Mayu Iwatani kind of questions Julia about the New Japan Strong belt that Julia recently won. Julia says that you never even defend the IWGP. I mean, she said she's having a hard time finding a real opponent that could challenge her. I mean, we know both belts can work internationally if they wanted to, but we'll see what happens until then. I'm pretty sure the generational struggle will continue, but however, because of this, we're almost there, close to the time where the 5-star Grand Prix will begin. So I'll continue to follow up more on Stardom at some point, but right now I can say I finally catched up with everything else. But we'll see what happens until then. I know we had a very interesting event recently, but that won't be up until later. At the moment, let's just move on with AEW Rampage. Alright, AEW Rampage. Now, our opening match, it features Daddy Magic, Matt Menard, and Cool Hands, Angelo Parker taking on Natural Limitless, Dustin Rhodes, and Keith Lee. I figured this match was going to be extremely fun because, as you know, Keith Lee, he's always like, being all laid back, knows that he is limitless, but it was able to pick up the win with the Austin Supernova onto Cool Hands. So I thought that was a pretty cool match. So it was a pretty good opener, so we'll leave it as that. Now, once again, QTV with their little shenanigans, however, apparently QT has said that he has talked to Hobbs that they will have a plan in the future for something. I don't know what, but the obvious thing is, will history repeat itself again after what happened at the semifinals for the Owen Hart Foundation Men's Tournament? We'll find out. Now, our next match, we like to call this one our squash match. We have Tail Valkyrie taking on what's her name, Izzy McQueen. Just like that, it with the curb stomp, and it was over. However, apparently Tail Valkyrie was received visit by our current AEW Women's Champion, Toni Storm, and her BFF, Saraya. Now, as you know, they came out try to call her a loser because of her recent losses and all that. But however, Tail Valkyrie does made a very interesting, valid point. They never crossed paths with each other, even before AEW. So that sort of thing. So, however, she put on the challenge that how about you put the AEW women's title on the line? And of course, I have to say, Tail Valkyrie did play a pretty good mind game, playing her, saying that, you're scared of me. But of course, Toni Storm played the game and accepted the challenge. Excuse me. So we'll see what happens then. Now, for the last couple of weeks, we have been seeing Hook chasing Jungle Boy. Now, those who don't know, Jungle Boy was nowhere to be found. He was on vacation or somewhere. However, Hook said that he was willing to put the FTW title on the line. So he decided to accept the challenge. Moving on, we have Trent Beretta taking on the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer. I mean, pretty good match. I mean, Trent Beretta, who has been done singles matches before, but however, taking out the Murder Hawk Monster was a different story. But it was, of course, a blackout, and then, of course, a lariat that finished off Beretta. However, in the post-match, the Monster got loose when, of course, Chuck was checking on his tag partner. And then, of course, here comes Lance with a microphone calling out Orange Cassidy, issuing a challenge for the AEW International title. But, however, in this case, they both Jake the Snake Roberts, who was present, took the title, saying that they will give him back if he survives against Archer at Battle at the Belt this coming Saturday. So we'll see how that turns out. Now, our next match. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. We have a very interesting development. Now, as you know, the Dickwads, those who don't know who I'm talking about, we're talking about Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Simon Singh, along with Karen Jarrett, are in displeased of what happened. However, they found out that, of course, their adversaries, Matt Hardy Brother Zay and Ethan Page will be involved in the Royal Rampage. However, Sanjay that made sure that the members of the Dickwads get involved in some capacity to get even with them, but also make their lives a living hell. But we'll see where they go. Now we do get a little interesting match. We have Konosuke Takeshita taking on Metallo. Now Don Callis revealed that Metallo is in fact an old friend of Kenny Omega. Don Callis goes out saying that your biggest mistake, Metallo, being friends with Kenny. So basically, trying to hurt Metallo is sending a direct message, which it did. I never seen Metallo, but he seems like did pretty good. Even the fans in Canada were supporting him. But however, it was the senton bomb by Takeshita to put him away to give him a good win. Now, our next and final interview, I believe, we have is with Renee Paquette with the Dark Order. As you know, the recent developments with Dark Order, they are sick and tired of people leaving them all the time. So they felt that Hangman Adam Page's recent ways have been disturbing them. So they felt like, you're a little ungrateful prick. We made you a champion and all this. So that kind of sets the whole thing up. But they did even say that they are entering the state of violence because if you guys remember, the Righteous said that they're not violent enough. But we'll see if they can be violent enough. So we'll find out. And of course, Vincent said that you're welcome. He acts like he thinks he can turn them into what they are. But we'll find out since then. Now, our main event features the semifinals of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, women's tournament. We have Athena and Will Nightingale. Now, these two ladies have faced before on 2 occasions. The last time, of course, Athena put the ROH World Women's title on the line, and she retained it against Willow. However, how different will this be in particular? Now, Athena, who's a bit more aggressive, could pick up a win in any way possible. But however, somehow it was Will Nightingale that reversed it and pinned Athena. Athena was not a happy camper. She can't believe that she lost. I mean, she hasn't lost in a while in this kind of capacity. So Will Nightingale will be facing Ruby Soho in the finals at the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. However, due to the exclusive content on Twitter, Will Nightingale, who is happy, Athena was not a happy camper. She decided to confront Will Nightingale. Thinks, this is games, and the referees were trying to calm her down, but she punched 2 of the referees, and then finally Will Nightingale gave her a forearm punch, knocking her out. But she said that once she's finished with the whole tournament, she'll be gunning for the ROH Women's World Title. Now, that match could possibly take place the following week at Death Before Dishonor. We'll see what happens. Can Will Nightingale win both the tournament and the title? I'm looking forward to see if that does happen. So I think that's pretty much it for AEW Rampage. So let's move on to our final review, NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on the latest NXT Level Up? Let's find out. Our very first match, we have, of course, Josh Briggs and Brooke Jensen, along with Fallon Henley, taking on Kale Dixon and what's his name again? Luca Crucifino. Now, as you know, the X factor in this type of match, we know that Jensen and Briggs are a very stable and competent tag team. They know exactly what they're doing. However, with Dixon and Crucifino, that's a different story. We know they have picked up wins here and there, but as a tag team, that's a different story. So I think that's what makes this match very interesting. However, as you know, Briggs and Jensen are trying to get back in their winning ways in hopes that one day they could get their hands on the NXT tag team titles. And I think Dixon and Crucifino is a perfect stepping tool for that. However, they were able to pick up the win when they applied a very interesting move, and then they were able to pin Dixon 1, 2, 3, just like that. Now, we do get an interview that will lead part of one of our matches involved in NXT Level Up. Kelly Kincaid interviews Lola Vice, who's being tagged along with, of course, Elektra Lopez. Now, keep in mind, this is their opponent. Lola Vice's opponent is Valentina Feroz. These two women have similar backgrounds, mostly like martial arts. But however, Lola Vice believes that she is far more advanced than Valentina Feroz. But Elektra Lopez says that she has nothing on her, that sort of thing. But she did say she will be in her corner to ensure there was no funny business. Well, the truth is, it's Elektra Lopez who does the funny business. But we know that Feroz will have her tag partner Ulyssa Leon tag along with her. However, the match was pretty good for this one because even though we have always criticized the women's division in every capacity, I have to say this particular match was pretty good because they did apply a lot of the martial arts status in this particular match. However, I was impressed how Valentina Feroz was trying to find a way to overcome the chokehold. You probably would have thought that there was no way. People were like already saying, just tap, just tap. It did not. She was able to apply a judo swung just like that and pick up the win. However, it was Valentina Feroz who picked up a very interesting sunset flip on Lola Vice and pick up a good win. So, however, I have to say that maybe Valentina Feroz and Ulyssa Leon could be in line maybe one day to pick up tag team titles, to bring the NXT tag titles back into NXT. But we'll see how that goes out. Now, our main event, we have Axiom to take on Tavon Heights. Now, interesting match. We have a high flyer versus a collegiate wrestler. We know this is a very interesting dynamic. I mean, Axiom always finds a way to pick up wins when he knows that the stack is against him in some capacity. But luckily for him, he was able to apply the golden ratio and take out Tavion's Heights head off, giving him the win. So we'll see what else Axiom could do in the future. I can't wait for it. But right now, let's move on to our final thing, which is news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have so far for everyone. So let's break ourselves from this one. For our GCW updates, for the homecoming shows that will take place at the Atlantic City at the Showboat for the 19th and 20th of August, it was announced that Japanese wrestler from Freedoms, Togu Sugiura, will be present. Their next event was announced for the You Will event on the 1st of September. Lash LaRousse, who makes his return into pro wrestling, but also this will be his debut match in GCW. Now, fifth entry for the All-Star Junior Festival USA has been announced, and I have to say this was a very interesting one. They announced Shun Skywalker from Dragon Gate to be involved. I have to say, good pick as well. More names have been announced for the Kitsune Women's Wrestling that will take place on October 22nd. They announced for Black Swan and Kid Bandit. So I'm sure we still get more talent will be announced, but I will put that at some other point. Match has been set for Deadlock Pro Wrestling for Beast Coast on August 13th. Violence Forever will be in action, and they will be facing, and this is their debut match, the Motor City Machine Guns. That's right. The Guns will be involved in this match. I can't wait for it. West Coast Pro from the West Coast with Love on the 10th of September. It was announced that Johnny Black will be participating in this particular show. House of Glory for the High Intensity event on the later on in August. There's going to be a no holds bar. We have, of course, the root of all evil, Charles Mason, versus the Mad King, Eddie Kingston. I have to say, that's gonna be one crazy match. I hope Kingston beat the living crap out of Charles Mason, because I'm sure people would like to see that. Now, This is a very interesting thing that came around recently by Yota Tsuji during an interview. He said something about um, on the official New Japan website. He talked about Shibata and the LA Dojo, and this is what he had to say. LA Dojo was worthless. Shibata was a failure as a teacher. Carl Fredericks quit. Clark Connors, Gabe, and Alex joined Bullet Club. Clark said it was Shibata's fault that his career was going nowhere, and he was right. So it appears that Yota Tsuji, who always has his own opinion, believes that maybe that Shibata is nothing but a failure with the LA Dojo. Now keep in mind, Yota Tsuji, as you know, was trained at the New Japan Dojo in Japan. So if I was him, I would keep my mouth shut in front of Ren Narita because Narita, as you know, trained at the LA Dojo. So if he believes that it was a failure, I wouldn't be surprised that Ren Narita will try to defend Shibata since he learned a lot from him. So we'll see about that in the future. But as of for now, we'll just leave it as that. So I think that's pretty much it. What we have. Um, we'll go from there. So at the moment, let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, it was announced by Got to Move slash ChocoPro that their latest ChocoPro show is now uploaded on YouTube. So I will put that as a priority to watch because I'm definitely interested. Because the main event features the Super Asia Championship. Ami Sakura gets her title shot against Hagane Shino. But the obvious thing is, will she take that belt off? Well, I already said it before, but I can't wait to see to give my own thoughts of what I thought. And of course, we have GCW Now and Forever. And of course, we have day one of the G1 Climax. I can't wait to see that. And of course, we have AEW Collision. I'm excited for everything, guys. I'm really do. So, but as of for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.